Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And the plot thickens as it relates to Iran. President Trump announcing U.S. strikes on Iran are about to kick into even higher gear. Dominic Carter here with you, folks. The number to reach me live this hour, 800-848-9222. President Trump stating the big one is coming. This as Qatar says it shot down 2 Iranian bombers. Where are all the feminists in this country? Right? So part of this battle as it relates to Iran, this struggle is for human rights for women in Iran. Where are all the American feminists standing up? Why are they so silent? Oh, I see how this works. The people of Iran, the women of Iran are praising Trump. And so now the feminists have absolutely nothing to say. And it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. We're in a situation where we're basically dealing with a wartime president right now. So what that should mean, Ilhan Omar and Mayor Mamdani, for that matter, shut up. You don't have anything productive to say to this. And you know what's interesting? Throughout the entire weekend, pick a city, any city, where there are people from Iran that happened to be in America, and they were dancing in the street. As a matter of fact, if you look online, you'll see some folks from Iran are literally doing the Trump dance to thank him for taking out the supreme leader or whatever they happen to call him. Also, I had a great time in New Jersey over the weekend talking with the Commissioner of Public Safety in Nutley, a community activist, and a few others, John Mancini, a businessman, and also a boxer, a legendary boxer by the name of Bobby Ches, who was a world champion in a number of categories, and now he's in the fight of his life up against cancer. I will let you hear part of the interesting conversations that's coming up a bit later, but I am starting with this because it breaks my heart. Savannah Guthrie and her mother, still, we don't know what's going on as it relates to Savannah Guthrie's mother, but Savannah Guthrie and her sister, they went to a memorial outside their mother's home, Nancy Guthrie. And if you listen, folks, you can literally hear them sobbing, crying in the background. Horrible, horrible, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching situation. And again, folks, what has to be going through Savannah Guthrie's mind is that if she wasn't so successful as a journalist, whether this is accurate or not, then it has to be going through her mind that this would not have happened to her mother if she hadn't made so much money in this business. Very, very sad situation. I will continue to follow it. I'm not going to walk away from it. Hopefully this will end positive, but I think that because now it's on the back burner, I think we all know how this situation is going to end. President Trump speaking on Iran today.
This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's number one sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon. Never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out, and they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way.
And what we are witnessing, this is what leadership looks like. I will continue to remind you folks of how Biden and Kamala, how they dealt with the problem. Threatening Iran, don't. How Obama dealt with the problem. Money, money, money. And that's how we're in this situation now. And the critics, the haters, they still don't want to give Trump credit, but this is what decisive leadership looks like. 800-848-9222. We see all your calls. We'll get to them momentarily. The lovely Debbie Lebedo, Staten Island, says, Dominic TV, American feminists, a non-existent Dom. They don't know what a woman is. Debbie, you might have a point there. This man appearing on 60 Minutes last night, he is considered the opposition leader in Iran, and he happens to be, he's been out of the country for a number of years, and he appeared on 60 Minutes, and he too giving President Trump enormous credit.
People still are brave enough to say, to hell with it. Because to us it's liberation. To us it's like a humanitarian intervention to protect lives that could otherwise be continued to be lost. It gives the Iranian people a real opportunity now when they see the end of this regime that was always bound to collapse. Whether there was an intervention or not, I want to make sure your audience understand that we were prepared to fight the fight. There was too much blood between us and this regime. We were committed to fight regardless of outside intervention. They're thanking President Trump for actually standing on his word and acting upon his word.
Do you actually believe this regime could fall after almost 50 years?
Of course.
And that's the situation that the world is watching.
Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.